this gun, you're even able to use this gun, because there was another character who tried to use his gun, it didn't work because he didn't have the correct DNA, he didn't have the correct X gene. That's what they were saying to make this gun work. So the people with the correct X gene are going to get the big gun. And they're showing you that right here. I mean, you can see this is just showing how powerful Israel really is. Got a whole circle within circle here. He's showing all this gamma, radiation energy, lighting up this young man right here. Showing us what time it is, Israel. And over here we see, okay. Now before we get into the Earth going nuclear, I just want to come back to this right here. Because then we're just gonna, we're almost done. We're gonna get into the Earth going nuclear. But you can see this image right here where they're showing the Most High is about to make some drastic changes upon this Earth plane. And this is where we are right here in these scriptures. We got Wisdom of Solomon. This is chapter 5. I'm just going to read this down to 1 through 5. Then shall the righteous man stand in the great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. So I mean, you're going to stand in the face of your enemies. We're here. Our ancestors built this place from the ground up during slavery. And today, all the enemy nations like to pretend like that didn't happen. Like us, black folks and our ancestors didn't build up this world from scratch for no pay for hundreds of years. And they are ripping this out of history books. They just want this part of this history to be gone and be done with. Because according to Esau, if he could rip it out of history books and make people forget about it, well, then he won't be judged for it. But that's just not the way things work in Yahweh's world. All thoughts and energy are recorded, and everybody is held accountable for your thoughts and energy, Israel. If you do somebody dirty, something dirty gonna happen to you. And we've all seen this throughout our life. If we've seen this happen throughout our life, we should know that that blood of Jesus foolishness has no merit. Because we've seen this happen throughout our life. And we're going to go to verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he, whom we had sometimes in derision and proverb of reproach? We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How was he numbered among the children of God, and among his lot is among the saints? How are these black folks, God's chosen people? Society has told us that these people are nothing. We've treated these people like they're nothing for as long as we can remember. Hollywood has shown us that these people are nothing. You can barely even see these people in any of the old movies. It's like they didn't even exist in the 40s and the 50s. You don't even see hardly any black folks in there. And if you do, they're just a maid or a butler. So it doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. How can these black folks, these Negroes, be God's people? It just doesn't compute. Society has told us time and time again these people are nothing. And we are not to even acknowledge their presence most of the time. Because that's how Yahweh set up this script. Because we're not the only ones being tested, Israel. He's testing all these enemy nation folks too to see how they treat his chosen people. It's a test for everybody. so they won't believe it. When war breaks out, where mayhem and whatever's going on, and those little orbs or chariots or whatever simultaneously start lifting up millions of people around the earth plane, and everybody can see who God's people really are. And I'm not going to say they all going to be, black or Negro or whatever. It's probably going to be a mixture of this and that, but it's going to be a lot of color in those little orbs, the way that Yahweh is putting it through. And they ain't going to believe it. They're going to be in total disbelief. Just can't be. Somebody need to wake me up from this nightmare, because I ain't seeing all these Negroes floating above here protected, and we down here dodging these bombs in these last days. This just can't be. And then these verses here go together. You can look at it, these even have the same numbers as 2nd Ezra 2:27 and Joel 2:27, the same number. Look at this. 2nd Ezra 2:26. As for the servants who I have given thee, there shall not one of them perish, for I will require them from among thy number. And you can be numbered among the saints, numbered in his book for salvation. He's saying he's gonna look after his people who have done what he's asked them to do. He's gonna protect his people who have done what he's asked them to do. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. This is why you cling to the Most High God of Israel with everything we got right now. You follow his laws and commandments the best you can. You detach from this world. You do not partake in the sins of the whore of Babylon. She's going to be going all out to try to seduce Israel at this time into her wickedness and filth. And there's a lot of talk about, USA is Babylon, Israel is Babylon. To me, Babylon it's a place, but it's also a spirit, because the Most High has scattered us throughout the entire four corners of this world, scattered us everywhere. So the spirit of Babylon is everywhere to try to seduce Israel. It's a spirit that's everywhere, but it's thicker in certain places. Sure, the spirit of Babylon is thicker in the United States because there's more wickedness here, but it's still in other places too. There's not a corner of this earth that doesn't have some type of wickedness going on, if there's people there. So yeah, the whore of Babylon is a place, but it's also a spirit that just infiltrates. And it's like a cancer. It just gets in everywhere and starts growing and draws people away from Yahweh and into her wicked energy. And so these verses all go together. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord, your Yahweh, your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. And why not be ashamed? Because Yahweh has said, for thou art a holy people, the Lord thy Yahweh, for thou art an holy people unto thy Lord, thy Yahweh. The Lord thy Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So this is the moment when all of the misery, all of the shame, everything we went through during slavery, all of our ancestors, all the buck breaking and lynchings and everything that stripped every bit of dignity from us. I mean, it's amazing that we were able to find it back to Yahweh, all of the games and the tricks that were played to keep us from our Father. But here we are in these last...
For all those that don't know, I'm sorry he's saying pagan names. I keep telling y'all, don't say those names. We're just going to chew the meat and spit out the bones. So I'm sorry about that. Y'all know how I feel about that. And I don't teach to say the names. I always teach y'all to stay away from the names. And y'all already know why. All them soul ties.
Days, scratching and crawling our way back to our source with everything we got. and they had unlimited amounts of resources to throw at us to keep us away from our Father, but we still found a way to make it back to our Father. That's why we're the greatest people on the face of this earth plane. You talk about Hollywood and all those movies telling us we weren't nothing, distracting us from our Father. Talk about the banking system. They weren't giving us no loans. They weren't showing us no love. They made it tough for us to make anything in this world. And then when we did try to set up our own little nook and cranny through Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they bombed the heck out of that.
Yep.
That was, government and military bombing the heck out of their own people. So even when we did try to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap, they still came down on us with vengeance. And then you just think of all the other avenues, real estate, they have all these other avenues where they just made it tough for us to get any footing to really get anything done. They own everything. And we still found a way back to our Father in these last days. It's really incredible, Israel, when you think about it. So this is not the time to be taking a victory lap, pulling up lame at the finish. You got to keep going all the way through the tape. So let's finish up where the earth is going nuclear.
And over here we see sinkholes. Now check out this one, this large sinkhole.
And so this is from Energy Arts. I'll sure leave a link to his channel. He does a pretty good job bringing the news out. He really doesn't want to acknowledge us to being the Most High's people, but that's kind of where we are right now, Israel. There's all these things going on around the planet, and it's getting to the point where people are starting to figure some things out. And even the stuff that's going on in China, very heavy, but there's a huge Chinese population in Africa that doesn't seem to be affected the same way. And that's Yahweh. That's how he is showing people through the process of elimination who his people are. Not that he just gonna elevate Israel, he gonna show you who isn't Israel also through process of elimination. So, Africa isn't really affected that much. There's millions and millions of Chinese people in Africa. So he's saying, look at this. You're gonna be a little bit safer if you're around some of my people. Now, I know Africa has a lot of Hamites and people who may not be Israel. I'm not getting into all that. There are a lot of Israelites who are still in Africa too. A lot of melanated people are still in Africa. And that's my point. And you can even see it with gentrification, where people are moving in to black neighborhoods because on a subconscious level, they know there's some safety in that to a certain extent. But the Most High Yahweh, at the end, everybody gonna be where they're supposed to be, and there's gonna be no hiding from his wrath. It is just a temporary shelter, I guess is the best way to look at it. But people will start to catch on, and then they'll start to see that, hey, you can't cleave to Yahweh and deny his people. The two don't go together.
The Creator.
You either got to start acknowledging who his people are, or Yahweh is not going to really show much mercy to you.
The Creator.
Because that's how this game works. That's how he set up the script. Those are his rules, not my rules. And of course, it's up to us to love Israel too. And to try to have patience and understanding as people wake up in these last days. But, it's getting to the point where the last call is going out. People either got to get it, or they're going to get it, or they're not going to get it.
Is spewing fire, and it's so hot as well. It's burning super intense. This is in the Uyghur Autonomous Region in China.
And so it's interesting. This is in the China-Russia area, where you have planet hell up above, you have hell down below, and the two are attracted to each other. And so, of course, they're coming in closer. And as the wickedness on the earth plane keeps increasing, planet hell gonna keep coming in. It's gonna come in to wherever the wickedness is, I think, the most abundant on the earth plane. And it looks like it's, honing in on that area in Russia and China. but we'll see. I mean, it changes. Everything's in motion, everything's fluid. It doesn't mean it's always going to be like that, but right now, we literally see hell coming through the surface in that area, and in all areas too. I mean, in Australia, we see hell coming through the surface down there, and they're dealing with the lockdown there. And we see it in California. You know, hell's coming through the surface in California. So it's not confined to just this area, but it is affecting this area in a much greater way at this time, it seems.
And this isn't the only one, which is interesting. There's a lot of massive earth changes going on. The globe is going through an incredible period of change. And this has been starting to warm up for a while, but now it's getting intense. And it's a flaming crater, and like I said, it's not the only one. This is in Russia. And here you see flames rising from the cracks in the ground, and this is in Temruk region in Russia. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, that's really cool. The flames are just coming off the ground, huh?
Yeah, and like okay, so we had Russia, we have this over in China, and then we go over to India, and this is, they're calling it Hell City, and you see the flames rising from this area too. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of volcanic activity, we're seeing a lot of really weird earthquakes, even though in a lot of areas these earthquakes are not super intense. They're just unusual.
And so there we go. Thank you for that, Energy Arts. Appreciate it. And so that's it for this installment. Covered a lot of topics, a lot of information here. But it's so important right now, Israel, that we just focus on these 2 minutes of this huge 3,000-year plague that's playing out.